Okay, we are going to get started. So thanks again for joining us, everybody, for our Esports 101 webinar brought to you by the Michigan High School Esports League. My name is Ryan Casey. I'm joined with my partner in crime, Maggie Helmer, as well as Patty from Play Versus. We have about a 45-minute or so webinar for you, hopefully answer all your questions. And for those of you who are either thinking about doing esports next year or we're told you are doing esports by somebody, we hope this is worth your time to learn about all the benefits of esports, about our league, some exciting things we have in store next year. But we'll be answering questions as we go. Again, if you haven't yet, go ahead and introduce yourself in the chat. I see some thumb area people in the chat. So I am a east side of the state thumb person. So I think my oldest daughter's future assistant principal is on the webinar today. So that's exciting to see. But thanks for being here. Just right off the bat, just so you know, the chat is open. You want to make sure that you have it set to everyone. Otherwise, it'll just send a message to probably Maggie, Patty, and myself. So make sure you do that. The Q&A is where we'll probably ask most of our questions. We'll either respond to those live, and we'll kind of check in on the Q&A as we go, or we'll answer them with a written response. And the slide deck that you're going to see today will be emailed out tomorrow, as well as the recording. So for the folks that couldn't be on here today, or if you just want to be able to take this information back to a decision maker or your administrator or your coach and go through this, that is totally fine as well. So just right off the bat to clear some things up, because maybe you've heard of our league, maybe you haven't, maybe you've heard it referred to as other things. We are actually kind of operated by the Michigan Association of Secondary School Principals. So I'm a former high school principal. Maggie has worked at the ISD level before. So we both actually work for MASSP. MASSP also has a student side of the organization, the Michigan Association of Student Councils and Honor Societies. So maybe some of your kids have been involved with Matt Alley from our organization before, doing some student leadership stuff or working with some of your student leadership advisors. Or Play Versus, which is our actual league operations partner that helps us kind of use their platform to make all of this happen. So if you hear somebody say the MASSP League, the Play Versus League, the Student Leadership League, whatever it is, they're actually talking about MHSEL, the Michigan High School Esports League. And, our league wouldn't be possible without Play Versus. Patty will talk to you a little bit in just a few moments about Play Versus and their history, but they are, the experts. They give us the capacity to be able to run a league, have a really great experience for your kids and your coaches and your schools. Maggie and I spend about half of our time. It's only supposed to be half. I think it's about 3/4 or 9/10 of our time doing esports stuff. So you do have dedicated people working behind the scenes, making sure this is a great experience. But we are happy to have Play Versus on the webinar with us today. I just want to go through a few kind of quick facts about MHSEL. We're getting ready to start our 4th year next year. We actually started this during the pandemic when we were on kind of remote instruction or virtual, kind of learning was occurring. So it was a great thing to start to give kids an opportunity to still participate in an extracurricular activity, even though we were kind of shut down at the time. But we've just been going strong. We've been growing like crazy. We are a varsity level league. This is a very competitive league. I think you'll find, especially on some of the game titles, some of the best schools and teams compete in our league. We have 2 seasons, fall and spring. We love it when people do both, but you don't necessarily have to do both. You can choose one or the other, and kids don't have to commit to both either. You can have kids playing one season and maybe not the other because they are doing a traditional sport or something else, or they're working. And we have the most game titles available out of any high school league in Michigan. We have 9 different game titles. And so when we talk about the games in a few minutes, if you were to share these game titles with your kids, they will definitely be familiar with them. They're playing them already, in fact. So it's a great opportunity to have them represent your school and do it as an extracurricular activity. So our mission at MHSEL is to provide a safe, competitive, and curricular environment that allow student athletes the opportunity to build critical skill sets, explore career paths, and really contribute to their school's culture. And our vision is to be Michigan's elite high school esports league. We are the state's largest high school esports league. I'm a little biased. I think we are the best or the elite esports league. We'll kind of talk about some of those things that we do that I think separate us from the rest. But that mission and vision statement were helped. That's not something that just Maggie and I came up with. We actually work with an advisory board, a mix of different high school esports coaches, administrators. We have a college representative, an ISD representative that sits on our board that really help, just grow our league and make it the best experience possible each and every year. And so that kind of comes from the direction of them. And so we're very happy to have those folks meet with us on a regular basis to help make our league the best it can be. We set records this spring for the 2023 season. It was our largest to date. We had 93 schools, 385 teams, around 1,350 students playing across 9 game titles just this spring alone. So that set a new record for us. I think we're going to be flirting with about 150 schools, 500 teams, and almost 2,000 kids at some point next year. You can kind of see the heat map there. A ton of schools in Southeast Michigan, but we have been spreading over to the west side of the state, the northern part. We have about 5 or 6 UP schools, which is really cool. We talk about benefits of esports. One of them is that, other than maybe some fun random tournaments kids might want to do, or our in-person state championships, or maybe semifinals, is it's virtual, right? So we can have a UP school take on a Southwest Michigan or Southeast Michigan school. We can have a Mackinac Island take on a Novi. And it's just really cool when you see that happen. Because obviously traditional sports, it's limited to certain geographical regions when they play in their athletic league conferences and matches. So you can see our growth each and every year, but it's just been a fun experience to watch this grow, and it's not going away anytime soon. I think esports is going to be here to stay, and so there are some states actually that have been doing this for a while. States like Georgia, where I think they have like 70% of their high schools have an esports team, believe it or not, which is pretty crazy. So. Oh, I'm going to go back one. I'm going to actually kind of pause there, and I am going to let Patty go ahead and share her screen and take over. She's going to talk to you about the benefits of esports, the platform, what it looks like, how the games work, how the schedule works. And then Maggie and I will take back over at the end to talk about some cool plans for next year. So just a reminder, if you just have a comment you want to make, go ahead and do that right in the chat. If you have a question you want to ask as Patty's sharing some information, use the Q&A tool, and Maggie or I will respond. Otherwise, the show is yours, Patty.
Thank you. My name is Patty. I appreciate everyone making it, especially at such a hectic time of year. But really right now is the time where we're having conversations with schools that are looking to get information to get started in the fall, which is the next opportunity for us to compete. So for today's agenda, I'm going to go over who Play Versus is, what we can accomplish together, the platform. We'll talk about the Unified League and our partnership with Special Olympics for that, important dates, and of course costs, and then go over questions. So who is Play Versus? I'm Patty, of course, and I'm here representing Play Versus. I work with schools in Michigan that are looking to either get their program started and plugging into our platform, or schools that already have a gaming club already and already have a foundation, are looking to plug in to expand their network to compete within the MHSEL and beyond. And then Mike Buck, who's not here, actually works with returning schools. So you're constantly going to have a point of contact for support, whether you're a returning school or a new school. So a little bit about Play Versus. Essentially, we're a safe space for accredited high schools and their students to compete in esports. Our platform is web-based, and it works as the mission control for coaches to plug into to schedule their matches, facilitate scrimmages, which are like practices. Our network is bolstered through our partnership with the NFHS, or the National Federation of High School Sports. And we recently partnered with the CIAA, which is the Canadian Association of Athletic Administrators, which means we have numerous Canadian accredited high schools also participating within our network. However, our most important partnership is, of course, with MHSEL, which allows students to participate in in-person championships. Not all states have an association that has and facilitates in-person events, which personally I think are just amazing to watch students be able to actually participate in those. Virtual, we have events throughout the states, but in person is something special and facilitated through the MHSEL. We are also recognized by USA Today as the official provider of high school esports rankings. I'll dive into that more as we discuss our third-party partnerships. As far as what we provide, by far probably the most value is just coming into a platform that's user-friendly. A lot of our coaches are not esports aficionados. They're teachers that have been kind of volunteered by students as just good mentors. Really, you're going to have all the support in our platform as far as league operations, questions in regards to illegal turtle shells or cheat codes. We have moderators or league operations that are going to handle all of that. There's an in-app chat support system where we have live people that are there that will answer your questions within 4 minutes. You'll have myself as a point of contact to get you started, as well as the catalog of games that we offer. We offer the 4 most important popular, I should say, on the collegiate side, which are going to be Smash, Rocket League, League of Legends, and Overwatch 2. Going to the next slide. So why esports? In terms of the why, I think the biggest statistic that resonates here the most is that we've polled the students, 45% of students that participate in esports. This is their first time participating in an after-school activity, much less an athletic activity. So it provides a space and opportunity for those students that do not typically participate or have not participated in traditional sports such as football, soccer, swimming, a space to be able to build their social skills or social emotional benefits. So as far as having discussions with leadership at schools, happy to report that I'm having less and less discussion about the benefits or the importance of esports and more about how to get started. So
can I pause for a second, Patty? So I just want people to really think about that stat. That's one that Maggie and I hammer home when we talk to folks. We talk about that 45%. So like she said, not just traditional stuff. I mean, those kids aren't in band. They aren't in forensics or debate. They aren't in art club typically. And so for the first time, they can wear your school colors, right? And they can feel like they are part of that school community. We can engage with kids, which means, because we know from traditional sports and extracurricular activities, in order to participate, they have to be in school. In order to participate, they can't be getting sent down to the principal's office. In order to participate, we can absolutely hold them to high standard and say, you got to be passing all your classes or 5 out of 6, just whatever you do with the other stuff. So it's just a huge part of why, even MASSP is in the esports world, because if it's good for kids, it's good for principals, it's good for the entire school community. So just something that if you've got to take this back to some decision makers, like Patty mentioned with some of those other stats and whatnot, that's usually the biggest one we say, right? We can engage with kids who normally haven't found anything yet. We do these in-person championships, and you can pay some of these kids to go and watch a football game, a high school football game, but they will sit for 5, 6, 7 hours to watch a Rocket League tournament or a Smash tournament, right? Because this just meets, kind of right where they're at in the world they want to live in. So it's just a really cool part of what we do. Sorry, Patty.
Oh, no worries. No, I appreciate that as well. And anecdotally speaking, I've heard educators talk about, increasing average daily attendance just by the fact of students are compelled to come to school because they have a match to participate in. So that brings us to our platform and also the catalog that we offer with Play Versus. So our matches are scheduled based on the title or game that the student's participating in. So all of our titles, with the exception of 2 titles, NBA 2K and Madden, are team play. So offers plenty of opportunity for students to collaborate and you really feel like they're part of a team. And so getting back into the days of the week and the commitment, you're going to plug into Mission Control, which is your Play Versus platform, at 4:00. And depending on what team the students have signed up for, that's going to depend on the day of the week that they participate. So either Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, not Friday, sorry, Off days are Mondays and Fridays. They're going to be expected to show up and participate. And typically matches last about an hour, with the exception being League of Legends, which is one of our more complex titles, if not the most complex title in our offering. As far as scrimmages go, or your practice days, those are going to be set for the coach. The coach can decide when and if the students are going to are not going to compete, because competitions are specifically Tuesday, Wednesdays, and Thursdays. Outside of that, coaches and only the coaches have the discretion to create practices or scrimmages. And so those are plugging into our network that extends, as I mentioned earlier, throughout Canada. Your matches are regional and specific to the state of Michigan, which is really cool. But the scrimmages open it up to our network. So you can say, as a coach, I'd like to practice Smash at beginner level on a Monday at 4 o'clock. And this is just practice, essentially, for students to be able to practice. Any questions so far on the platform, matches, or scrimmages?
Can I clarify one thing? Can you go back to the game title section, Patty, right there? So you might be asking yourself, why are certain games on certain days of the week? But part of that reason is so, Playverse is one of the benefits of having them as a league partner is they have tech support on standby, which all those issues typically get resolved in about 3 minutes. So instead of offering 9 different games, or there could be 9 different issues going on for, so to having it kind of narrowly focused, like, oh, today's Tuesday, we know there's only League of Legends or Splatoon being played. So if there's an issue, we can have it focused on what we need to do to help with those 2 games. Also, you'll notice the games, it's kind of hard to see on these graphics here right now, but a lot of the games are multi-platform, meaning it can be played on a PC or on some sort of console, like a Nintendo Switch, Xbox, PlayStation. Certain games are specific to console. So like Nintendo games, for example, Mario Kart, Splatoon, Smash Brothers can only be played on a Nintendo. So, if you have a computer lab ready to go in your district, a media center, a CAD lab, whatever, you're probably already set to go for most of those games, other than the ones that would be console specific, the Nintendos, Madden, NBA 2K. We do have schools that go out and purchase those consoles, whether you want to buy them new or you want to go on Facebook Marketplace or go to GameStop and buy some used ones. We do even have schools that allow kids to bring in their own device from home. They check it in with their coach before school starts, and they bust it out after school to practice and warm up to get ready for their match. Obviously, anybody that's on the call today right now that is not an IT person, if you're an administrator or you're a teacher or a prospective coach, you want to become best friends with your IT folks, bring them in some Starbucks, some brownies, something, because there are some internet filter things that'll have to be done to make sure they spent their whole life making sure kids can't get their Nintendo Switch on the Wi-Fi, right? And now we're asking them to, hey, can you let little Susie over here get her Switch on the Wi-Fi? So some of those things take some extra steps, but and all of this information is broken down more at MHSEL.org. And we have specific IT network specifications for each game that you can print off and give to the IT guys so they know exactly what needs to happen to make sure that the computers or whatever device can run it. I mean, at the end of the day, if you have a device that can play the game, you can compete in the league. The only caveat I'll say to this whole thing is Chromebooks really don't work, though. It can be done with some extra steps and some extra software that costs money and whatnot, but it's not ideal. But you don't have to have some crazy LED giant Alienware computer to do these games. I mean, some of the more competitive schools and teams might, but we have teams that are very competitive playing some of these games on a laptop, right? So it can be done. So I'm sorry, I just wanted to call some specific attention to that. So anything in the Q&A so far, Maggie? Nope, not yet. All righty.
Right. Perfect. And to try and simplify things, again, Playverse tries to facilitate that. So as far as like dynamic match reporting for League of Legends, Rocket League, that's automated for you all. Again, can't emphasize enough the fact that you can do everything from the platforms. As far as communicating with coaches, you can do that in app. If you need support, you can do that in app. So again, the idea is to facilitate this to make it really easy for everyone, not just, individuals who feel like they can't be a coach because they're not a gamer. This is a partnership between Special Olympics and Play Versus, and we'll get into costs. Of course, we save that for the end, but this is something that is no cost. What it is, it partners students who have an IEP or 504 plan with general ed students. The catalog's reduced. It's Rocket League or Mario Kart. So the students are only competing in these two titles. And again, it's blending the student populations together in a team. So with Mario Kart, you have 2 gen ed players and 2 special needs players. So those are players that have an IEP or 504. And happy to discuss this in more detail at a consult, after this webinar. Partnerships, third-party partnerships. I've mentioned USA Today is the source of truth for high school e-rankings. Our season's 8 weeks long. Throughout that 8 weeks, you can pop into USA Today, the online publication, check out the top 10 schools within your state. And it might be that one student could put your school on the map with NBA 2K or Madden. We also have a partnership with Stay Plugged In. So they're constantly having virtual webinars in regards to, colleges and the colleges that they partner for scholarships. So they are a great place to attend virtual events in regards to college scholarships. So how do we start? Or when do we start? So right now, the date to focus on is September 11th. That's the start of our preseason. So as I mentioned at the outset, we are having conversations right now with schools that are looking to compete in the fall. That's the next opportunity to compete, is going to be for fall. And that's going to be, the start date's going to be September 11th for preseason. So if this is your first time competing, it's highly, highly encouraged for you to participate in those 2 weeks of preseason, work out any bugs, any tech issues, and then that'll get you all ready for the start of regular season. So preseason's optional. Regular season, of course, starts October 2nd and goes for 8 weeks.
Hey, Patty, can I jump in real quick?
You bet.
So yeah, that really is crucial, that preseason part, and to allow you to work out any of those tech glitches. So I know we've worked really hard over the last couple of years to ensure that forfeits don't occur. Typically, if a school forfeited, it was for one of 2 reasons. It was either A, the kids just didn't show up that day, you don't have enough to run your event, or B, you're having technology issues. And there's nothing worse for another school to be amped up, ready to go, ready to play their match, and then, oh, they took a forfeit. So yes, they get a win, but just like your volleyball players, your track athletes, your football players, they want to play, right? They want to compete. So that's a crucial part. Patty, so can we, for schools that are like pretty confident, they know, like, yep, I want to do this next fall, I've got a group of kids already that have been meeting in a club, could they technically create accounts and start scrimmaging right now? Could they do a little bit of scrimmaging, or when they start up in school right away? I didn't know when that shuts down, or if they're able to even do it over the summertime. How does that work?
Yeah, so scrimmaging is open regardless of season. So we have 2 seasons. The fall that's coming up is the next opportunity. Spring, of course, we're just ending. But scrimmaging is available throughout fall and spring season. However, there's a caveat to that, because most of our coaches are teachers, they're 9-month employees. Most, like, you're going to find, if you plug in, create a team today, that the scrimmaging offer isn't as robust as it typically is, meaning, coaches are the only ones that can create scrimmages. And if they're not around to create them, then that affects the volume.
So they might have a better opportunity. I mean, most people are done in the next week or 2 here in Michigan, at least, but maybe when they come back in maybe middle or late August, depending on if they're before or after Labor Day, they might be able to, even beyond just the preseason, do some stuff. So just, again, that's another one to take advantage of as you're working out kinks with your IT person.
For sure. And even creating teams and getting involved in the platform, tooling around is just a great idea in general if you're just looking to get started. Fall season key dates, you will have to choose a bye week, so a rest week. That's something to keep in mind. You'll want to have that coincide typically with a non-holiday play versus accounts for the holiday breaks. So maybe an internal in-service day, or a day that you're not going to be present to participate. You'll want to schedule your 1 week bye week at that time. Playoffs and championships, if you make it out into playoffs and championships, will be in December. Anything to add here, Ryan?
Nope. Championships will be in person again. We're finalizing where that's going to be right now, but nope.
Great. And so what's next? I would say gather student interest. Gauge where the student interest is and work backwards from that. What titles are the students interested in? And then once you have the titles they're interested in, then you'll have to figure out, okay, do we have the hardware to support that, those titles? The next step would be, actually the following step would be to connect with IT. But before all that, having a consult with myself to address any specific questions that you have that are unique, or you just feel like you want to get more questions answered, feel free to book a consult with me. Happy to walk you through all that. In terms of costs, costs are the way that we model it. We try to keep it pretty simple. So if you're a small school, charter parochial, or maybe you just want to start off small with a small 3-person team, you could go $80 per player. This is per season route, or you can go kind of like whole hog unlimited. This is unlimited for fall and spring, unlimited teams, unlimited players. There are opportunities for savings, especially if you enroll early. There's early bird discounts. There's also Title I discounts. With the unlimited packages, we do offer, if your school hasn't received a Switch bundle, we offer a Switch bundle with strings attached. Nintendo would like you to participate in one of their titles. So it would be committing to a Nintendo title such as Smash, Splatoon 3, or Mario Kart, and then purchasing an unlimited plan, which you can get discounted with the early bird discount. And then Title I schools also have opportunities for the unlimited package at the Title I pricing. Any questions or anything you want to add?
Yeah, I'll jump in again here. So again, $80 per kid, per game, per season. So if Johnny wants to be on 2 different teams, wants to do Smash and Rocket League for fall, it would actually be $160. Okay. So yeah, as Patty mentioned, if you only have 8-10 kids that are going to be probably involved, it totally makes sense to just do the per player pass. When you get to about that 18 to 20 kid threshold, you really got to start looking at unlimited, because then unlimited means unlimited kids playing unlimited games all year long. So not just season, but all year. So again, if you get to the 18 to 20, 21, 22 kids in your program, it actually does make sense. And as she mentioned, there's a lot of discounts. If you're a Title I school, I think you can get up to about 30% off sometimes. So it brings those costs down. I know Playverse has shared the data with me before. On average, by the time you factor in like early bird promotions or Title I discounts, or maybe an all girls team gets discounts, or it ends up being about like $50 a kid roughly per, on that per player basis. So there is a cost. We try and think that MHSEL, because there is a cost, there are certain benefits. You do get unlocked and like deluxe characters and packages with some of these games, or reduced rates for the game, or you even get the game for free. Whereas in other leagues, you'd have to pay for all those things to be competitive, so that cost adds up. We also offer, which I'll talk about in a minute, additional events throughout the year that for an MHSEL school would be free to participate in, or you would be able to participate at a reduced rate versus a school that isn't in our league. So although there is a cost up front, there are savings in other aspects. So
that's right. And we will work with you on the cost, so you don't have to feel like, oh wait, I don't know the number of students and I don't want to choose the wrong package. We'll work with you and of course adjust where needed to. If the unlimited package makes more sense for you all, we're not going to keep you in the per player pass. So we'll definitely work with you there. And regardless of what plan you go with, the Nintendo game codes, if you participate in a Nintendo title, we'll provide those for you, as well as the online subscription membership codes that you would need for those Nintendo titles. Which brings me to the last slide here. There's also DLCs associated with Smash that we provide. Hearthstone, we unlock the mini games. League of Legends, that's done through Riot, but they unlock the champions as well. And then the nice thing about esports, already mentioned by Ryan, is that, throughout the 8 weeks, that's going to be virtual. If you all make it into playoffs and championships, that's an opportunity to experience this in person, which is really cool as well. So that's my time. You can feel free to book time. I'm happy to walk you through any questions and get really detailed with your school and your school's unique needs. You have my email as well as my phone number there. I also answer my phone, and I will now give the floor over to Ryan and Maggie.
All righty, thank you. I'll pull my screen here again. All right, do you guys see that?
Yeah.
All right. So again, just things that we have done over the years. We try to add in new things just to, again, make it the best experience possible for schools. We started doing last year kind of regional tournaments. They're just fun tournaments. They have no bearing on our league standings. It doesn't impact your record, your ability to make the playoffs. It's just we've been listening to kids, and they want to, although they're used to living in this virtual world playing people, they do want to come together and meet some of these kids face to face that they play online, right? And so we've done a couple of different tournaments. We did an individual Smash Brothers tournament at Divine Child High School last spring, which is really, really well attended. We did a special tournament with Grand Valley State for Rocket League, and all the kids who attended that got a ticket to go watch the Grand Rapids Griffins that night, where they got to meet the team as they're coming out of the tunnel and stuff. So just a really cool opportunity. As you've heard us say, and I have a video I'll play in just a minute, we've done in-person state championships for the last 2 years now. We have a really great partnership with many of the colleges in the state of Michigan. Actually, Michigan has, in terms of collegiate esports, we're actually national leaders in this space. I think we have like 28 different college esports programs in Michigan. Some do offer scholarships. Some do offer specific degrees and programs related to esports. So, nationally, we do really well at the college level. And so I just think it's really important to get kids on a college campus. Anytime we can do that, talking to college coaches, college directors, college esports athletes, I want to do that because, again, for some of these students, probably that 45% group, right, they probably haven't considered college as an option for them, maybe. So we've been at Oakland for our fall championships and our fall conference that we did last year, which we're going to be doing again this December, by the way. And then we just got done doing our spring championship about a month ago at Western Michigan University. And we try and pick things all over the state, so people aren't constantly driving from the west side or wherever. And so Megan and I just went through our calendars, and we have about one event per month in different areas of the state. So hopefully we can make it so it's not too much of a drive for the kids that want to go on a Friday night or a Saturday or whatever it is to compete.
Yes. One of the things that I do want to make a note on that Ryan touched on colleges and us being a collegiate state that is leading in the nation. Every in-person state championship that we have held, we have had at least 3 colleges minimum there recruiting and watching students play, which is huge. Like we had the spring championship, we actually had probably 2 or 3 colleges approaching a specific team on, wanting them to come play for them and everything like that. So this is something that is a huge opportunity for students, and it gives them a pathway to say, hey, there's more after high school, and I might actually be able to put something that I enjoy into a career. So just another option.
Nope. Thank you for sharing. Other things that we have planned or that we typically do would be like a new coaches webinar at the beginning of each season. Esports is really cool. Everyone is so willing to help out and help really grow this sport. Although, yes, they want to compete. Yes, people want to win. They want as many schools to compete as well, just like we do in traditional sports. So all the coaches are really great about helping out, tips and tricks. And so we kind of have a network of some what I call super coaches that help us run these new coaches webinars. They're always willing to share how they, questions come up all the time, like, because you can't have multiple teams on a game. How do I do like multiple teams? Do I do a varsity and a JV? What do tryouts look like? How do you fundraise? Where did you go to get an esports jersey? How do you guys do broadcasting or streaming of matches? What equipment do you? So all those types of questions, just to make sure that you're not running into some common pitfalls. So we'll run those at the beginning of each season. We do some virtual strategy sessions, really for players or coaches on Twitch. If you're not familiar with Twitch, you probably will be. That is, think of it basically like YouTube for gamers and gaming. So we try to meet the kids where they're at. We do those on Monday nights during the season. Anything educational related to a specific game or related to, it could be healthy eating and sleeping habits to maximize your, esports match day. It could be on managing player emotions, again, different games. Could be on scholarships or the life of a collegiate esports athlete. So those are things we do throughout the year. We actually have a college intern each semester. We hire an intern to help us, which is great because they bring a lot of perspective from probably playing that game at a pretty high level, certain games, as well as tournament organization and things like that. New next year, I'm really excited about. We don't have the location yet, but I hopefully will be able to share that in a couple weeks, is a statewide student shoutcasting competition with which will feature some scholarship awards for the winner. So kids that are really into esports, this is the part where they get to broadcast and they get to do like the play-by-play color commentary, if you will, either as a solo or as a duo. And so we have some really cool partners that are going to be working with us on that competition. Think of it kind of like Forensic, Debate, DECA, BPA, Band Festival, those types of competitions. It'll be kind of be in line with that, except all on esports. And we have a bunch of other things planned. So Megan and I will be all over the state next year, running around doing cool stuff related to esports. I know there's somebody on earlier talking about middle school. So we do offer a middle school league. We kind of did a pilot program kind of in-house last year. It was kind of based on a kind of a club model, or maybe kids are only after school like one day a week. We're getting ready to ramp that up a little bit and actually offer a full-blown like multi-game schedule where kids can come in after school, kind of do some club or curricular type lessons, but then hop in and actually do some scrimmaging and some real eventually regular season matches with other middle schools from across the state. So our colleague Nina Davis, who's a former middle school principal at L'Anse Creuse Middle School North, I believe, she is going to head that up. And so you can get a hold of her at nina@massp.com if you want to learn more about that. She will schedule time to meet with you and get you set up to do the fall league. Again, those are dates for next fall. There's a QR code if you are thinking you're pretty interested, you want to fill out that interest survey. That'll get you on the list for Patty to reach out to, I believe. So you take a second and grab that with your phone if you would like.
One thing I will note that is not listed on here is September 1 is the early enrollment deadline for any of those special deals. So if you want to get in on any of those discounts for your school and for your teams, please make sure that you enroll before September 1st.
Perfect. So I've got a video here from our spring championships at Western. So I used to be a high school principal, and when I was principal, we started doing the first robotics things. And I used to see the kids kind of tinkering away on this machine. They're using screwdrivers and all sorts of stuff. And, I saw them working. It looked like they were having a good time. I didn't really get it. Then I went to my first robotics competition. And that's when it really clicked for me and I understood what it was all about, because kids were in there. There was strategy, there's communication. Kids were high-fiving each other. People were cheering. There was timers and music and, celebrations. And so esports is kind of like that. Like sometimes you don't get it because you see the kid just kind of playing a game, right, on a console or on a computer. Maybe you see them as sitting as a team in a row of computers. But when you actually see them getting to compete, I think it's going to make it easy to understand why kids love this so much and all the different benefits. So I'm not going to play the whole video here, but I'll play a little bit. So this is Western Michigan's Esports Arena. It used to be the Little Theater. I'm a former Western Michigan Bronco, and so they revamped the theater and turned it into an esports arena, and the production was awesome with all the lighting and the way the stage is set up. But kids do get trophies and medals for this. For a lot of the kids, it's the first medal that they've probably ever had, right?
One of the stories, our first in-person championship that we held, I was handing out the medals to students, and a kid actually said, "Oh my gosh, we actually get something. I've never gotten anything like this." And he was almost in tears. And it just goes to show that this is really an area that we need to be able to provide opportunities like this for kids throughout the state.
So at this event, it was our championships, but we did for one of our games also had semifinals as well, because we had a 64 team playoff bracket. So we couldn't squeeze all the matches in. So we had a semifinal matches backstage, and then all the finals matches out front on the main stage. They were broadcasted. We had a college and professional shoutcasters come in to broadcast the matches, so Grandpa and Grandma could see, or their friends could see.
One of the things is that the spectators get really into it as well. When we have the broadcasting and shoutcasting going on, it really makes it easy to follow in the games and what's happening. So it really gets pumped up like you're at any other sporting event that you could think of, whether that's football, basketball, volleyball, softball, any of those sports. It gets really pumped up. People get really excited, and it's really fun to watch the kids as they're playing.
And we did have, I think we ended up having just about 175 people at this event. So there was a lot of spectators. We had people roll in and show up that were not participating. They were not family, but it was a kid, a middle school kid or a high school kid that came with their parents just because they love watching this stuff, right? It's that example of the kid who wouldn't be caught dead going to a Friday night football or basketball game, but will drive 45 minutes, an hour, hour and a half to come watch this or compete in a tournament. So I think just for time's sake, I'll pause it there. Come on. There we go. Some other cool things that MHSEL has done is we actually created an introduction to esports course with Michigan and Virtual. So it's on the professional learning portal catalog. It's 2 sketchies. It's free. It kind of covers a lot of what we talked today, but really focuses on career and college connections and opportunities and benefits of scholastic esports. So if this is something you're looking for, I know it's a certificate renewal time for a lot of educators. You can use that link to go to that course. Again, it's free. You just got to have a Michigan Virtual account, which many probably do already. And so that's been a really cool thing. It's only been around for a couple months, and I think we've had about 400 people take the course already, which is cool. And then here's the information for Maggie and I, kind of like Patty, and she's kind of the expert with the onboarding process, but, Maggie and I can walk through kind of next steps, kind of depending on where you're at. If you want to figure out budget information, we have sample budgets, sample implementation plans that you can reference as you're trying to build up your program. We can kind of walk you through, based on the capacity you have in your building, what route makes the most sense with equipment. We can connect you with other local schools. A couple of things I want to mention that I don't forget is PlayVersus actually has a really cool referral program. So if you have a school that is doing this in your area, and they are able to refer you, whether it's their coach to your coach or principal to principal, whatever it is, both schools, the referring school and the new school that's coming on board, can get up to $500 off their enrollment fees. And that pay for basically like a Rocket League team for the year, for example. So it's a pretty cool option. And then you, as a new school, you join, let's say in the fall, you can turn around and refer somebody to join in the spring. So it's a kind of really good grassroots way of getting your crosstown rival, other schools that are in your athletic conference to join, so we can really build this network of schools and grow our league. One other exciting thing, I forgot to make a slide for it. This is how new it is. I just sent the email out today to coaches. So we've been operating with like 3 different games as kind of our state league, meaning you only play other schools in the state of Michigan in that league. Other titles were more, as you heard Patty say, a regional match, meaning you probably play people from Ohio, New York, Wisconsin, Pennsylvania, whatever it is, within kind of a regional network. Next year, as long as we hit a minimum of 16 schools in each one of those game titles, we are going to keep that to Michigan only. So that's something that came to us from our advisory board. They just think, it's a unique opportunity when you know the school that you're competing against. We need to have a minimum. We need to have so many schools because we want to make sure there's enough schools to make it competitive, right? And so when, that only half the schools can make it to playoffs. So we need at least 8 schools to be in playoffs. So 16 was the magic number we came up with. But I think it's just a great way to grow, esports in Michigan. We're having schools play each other just within our state for the most part. So that's an exciting new change next year. And each single one of those state leagues will get trophies for 1st and 2nd place, plaques for 3rd and 4th place. So just a new thing we decided to do. So I believe that is all I have for slides. So either people are being shy or we did an amazing job answering every single question because I don't see anything in the Q&A right now. So now is the time. If you want, you can type it in the chat, the Q&A. I think there's a way, if you raise your hand, I can unmute you if you want to ask a question as well. Use the raise hand feature if it's turned on, that is. But otherwise, we'll be hanging out for a couple minutes if you have any questions on anything. And again, I'll follow up with the slide deck and the video of this recording. Are there divisions based on enrollment? So Jesse, I think you're my Memphis friend from just down the road a little bit. Not yet. Can I see us getting there? Absolutely. Absolutely. I think when we start getting to 25% of the schools having, we start getting 150, 200, 250 schools, I think that's very possible. It's similar to traditional sports. The bigger the enrollment, the more, vast student population that you have that you can draw, the best gamers from, so to speak. But it hasn't necessarily been the case with some of our schools and some of our championships. But I would say that that's probably where we will go in the next couple of years. Yes.
And Patty might be able to speak to this, but I also know that we have a smart scheduler for on our platform that does assist with matching schools with I believe it's similar skill levels and everything with each other.
Yep. So that means if we have a team that's really struggling, they're winless, or they have a couple wins, chances are they will be getting scheduled against other similarly skilled teams. So, this way also for the teams that are more competitive, that are, only have 0 losses or only a couple losses, they're playing a higher level of competition for them as well. So, yep. Great question and great comment, Maggie. Otherwise, we'll hang out for a couple minutes. So if anybody has any questions, you can catch us. Otherwise, if you're free to hop off. Would love the opportunity to have you guys join in the fall. It's going to be a great year. It sounds cliche to say, but it'll be our best year yet. That's been happening for us for the last 3 years. So I don't think year 4 will be any different.
Shane, you had a question as a new school, just adding in esports, would you recommend starting just with fall and spring or just one of them? Honestly, it would be a great opportunity for you to use our student interest survey. We have a sample survey that is on our website that I can have Ryan share. We can have that in the follow-up email that goes out. You'll make a copy of it and you can send it out to your student population, hopefully before everybody goes on summer break, just to kind of get a gauge. And that might be able to help you determine the interest level and what might work best for you, whether that's doing fall or just doing spring, because you might have people that, although 45% statistic is a huge statistic of students involved in esports. You might have other students involved in esports that are also involved in other activities throughout the year. So that will be able to give you a bit of a good gauge. If you have a lot of students that are interested, it might be worthwhile to do both. And if you have a smaller amount, then maybe you just start with one or the other season and get a feel for it and start then maybe add in the next season the following year.
Yeah, I think a lot of people, when they're new, they kind of do that start small approach. So whether they wait till spring, or maybe they'd start with only a couple of teams in the fall and then they expand in the spring. I mean, that does make sense for a lot of schools. I think you have kids that are going to be chomping at the bit probably if they find out this is going to happen next year, and they're not going to want to wait till February to get going. But that's an option too. Yeah, good question. I'm biased here, but I like seeing some of these thumb schools, some of these BWAC, Blue Water Area Conference, and see, Memphis is part of the GTC, but now they just formed a new athletic league, I think. It's called the Big Thumb League. I think that's what it's called. So I'm excited about that. So, but yeah, we're just going to hang out for a couple more minutes here, and then we'll shut it down. So we'll be hanging around, answering any other questions over the next couple minutes here. Otherwise, thanks for attending, everybody. Appreciate it.
Thank you so much. We really appreciate it.